security. That's the most dreaded topic for most of engineers in this industry. Of course, excluding security experts. If there is such a thing as hatred among engineers for some topic, that would be security. And partly for a good reason, because security traditionally is something shifted as far to the right as possible. Developers would work for days, weeks, months. In the past, it was even years. And then all of a sudden, one day, a security report would arrive, usually very close to the end of the process, before releasing to production, that would say basically, hey, look, there are those tens or hundreds or thousands of items. Many of them are security gates. Without fixing those, you cannot move forward. And nobody wants to go back and redo, change the dependencies because some are insecure, change the way how code is written, change the baselines of things, close the ports that are considered absolutely necessary, and so on and so forth. In a nutshell, finding out that weeks, months, or years of work are wrong and that we should redo a significant part of it is not pleasant. Nobody wants that. And part of the reason behind such situation is that security is very far on the right. Separate department, separate team, work in isolation, just telling people, hey, this is wrong. And by the way, I'm telling you that very far when you're far ahead. And there is hardly any way for you to just adjust, right? And it's normal that it's far on the right, because if it's in hands of a separate department, separate group, they need to have your code, your feature, your application almost fully developed so that they can properly evaluate it. Now, the solution to that, like with many similar cases, like with testing, for example, is to shift things to the left, or left is over there. And that does not mean that we shouldn't have security teams, security experts. We should. But they should be in charge of defining the rules and things that needs to be complied with, and so on and so forth. But by shifting to the left, we can give tools to developers and other types of engineers that will be able to find out when they're doing something wrong from security perspective almost immediately, the same time if that something is happening. While writing code, they should immediately get a notification, hey, you just wrote this is wrong. When building images, immediately notification while still on laptop, right? Same thing for testing, same thing for infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So, long story short, we want to shift security left and give means to people who are not necessarily educated in all the bits and pieces related to security, still use it and make their work secure from the get-go. And this is the part where there aren't that many tools on the market that are useful to security teams, security experts, shifting at the same time sufficiently to the left to be useful for those that are not necessarily really that interested in security, yet they need to do their work. So both left and right, and make it available everywhere. It should be available no matter which programming language you're using, no matter whether you're packaging it in container images or somewhere else, no matter whether that's related to infrastructure and so on and so forth. It should be available in pull requests. It should even periodically double check that situations did not change, right? So it needs to be very comprehensive solution, which can be gathered from different bits and pieces, or one solution, we're going to see that, and satisfy both security experts, but also everybody else in a company so that their work can be secure from the get-go. And the tool we are going to explore today that satisfies some, if not all, of those needs is Snyk. We're going to see how it works. We're going to see part of it, how it works, because it's really huge. It's absolutely massive. and we would not have time to go through it all. So we're going to focus on what it does, how it does it, and mostly related with container images. And in your head, you would need to understand that actually everything we do with container images can be equally applied to infrastructure with Terraform, let's say, or to code, and so on and so forth. So let's evaluate. Let's see what we can find out about Snyk in 20 minutes or less. So once you register on Snyk, this is what you will see. This is a knowledge center that shows us everything we can do with Snyk and a few even things that are in progress. And you can already notice that it is really vast. There are tools related to open source. There are tools related to building and running containers, infrastructure as code, license compliance, and so on and so forth. It's really, really massive. Like if you go to language support, for example, we can see that it supports, let's actually go to all of them, JavaScript, Java, .NET, Python, Golang, blah, 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 blah. Quite a few. Most popular languages are there. Similarly, if you go back and see infrastructure as code, we can see that it supports Terraform, and it supports even Kubernetes directly, and so on and so forth. I will not go into everything it does. If you want to see actually how big it is, go to integrations. That over there you will see all the integrations it supports, and this is actually only a fraction of it anyways. So instead of going through documentation, showing you what they do, what they don't, let's try to implement Snyk on one of my demo projects and see how it goes. So I'm going to switch to my terminal, and I'm going to go to the repository, local copy of a repository of one of my applications, which is DevOps Toolkit. And that application is currently running in actually quite a few places. But what matters for this context, I will be using Kubernetes, and I will be deploying in Kubernetes based on container images, because that's what we do in Kubernetes. So let's see how it can help me with that. This project, among other things, it's a small demo project, so it's not really anything special, but it is compiled into container images. So let's see whether Snyk can help me with one of my container images that already exists there, and it's running in production. I mean, it's a demo production, let's say. But so let's see how Snyk can help me with my container image. So Snyk container, and I want to test, and the image is vFarsic DevOps Toolkit series. And the tag, if I remember correctly, and this might prove that I'm wrong, is 2917. And I'm going to pass it file, referencing Docker file, so the Snyk knows not only what is my image that it should scan and tell me what's going on with it, but also the definition, how I built that image, which in this case is in Docker files. Let's see what we're going to get. And right now it is analyzing the dependencies of that image. Vulnerabilities database, and I got the results. And the results, you can see that it found 5 issues. And I can see what those issues are. Some of them are low severity, usually low, you can skip. And then we get to medium ones, and we get to 5 of them, right? So we got 5 vulnerabilities, 3 low and 2 medium. Now, the interesting part here is that not only that it tells us what the vulnerabilities are, but also if they're fixed already. So we can see that in this specific version, it is fixed, and this is fixed in this one, and this is fixed in that one. So these are the reference, in this case, for example, this is the reference to Nginx stable Alpine, and it is fixed in that version. And by the way, this image is based on Nginx. So, and so on and so forth. So we can see that not only what vulnerabilities are, but how they can be fixed, if they can be fixed by upgrading to a newer version. Sometimes it's not that easy, but in this case, it is. Now, For some people, this might not be such a nice, actually, let's see the end of here. It says that your base image is out of date. So I might actually fix some of the problems just by increasing or upgrading my base image. We're going to see later on whether that will help, but there are already useful recommendations how we can fix some of the issues that are in this image. Now, before we move on, if we want everybody to use Snyk, developers, testers, whomever is in any contact and creating anything new, should be able to use Snyk. And not everybody necessarily wants to actually install Snyk binary like I did. And there is alternative, at least when container images are concerned. The alternative is to use Docker, because since a few months ago, somewhere mid-2020, Docker was integrated with Snyk. So now Snyk is part of Docker, or it integrates with Docker seamlessly, right? Now let me demonstrate that. If I do Docker scan, actually let me clean the screen, Docker scan, and the same thing. I can just say vparsec / DevOps toolkit series 2.9.17. I don't even imagine that I don't have Snyk installed even, right? File is Docker file, and I'm going to accept license. So that Docker doesn't ask me whether I really want to work with Snyk, whether I accept their terms of condition and so on and so forth. So this is basically doing the same what I did before, but without really Snyk binary. It is part of Docker. If you use Docker, you shouldn't use Docker in a cluster, but that's a separate subject. But in local development, you might still be using Docker, and hey, it's integrated, right? And we can, what did I do wrong? Accept license. Oh, there's a typo here. Accept license. I don't know how to write English. It seems like. And now this is the same process. The result will be the same. Result is the same as when we used Snyk binary directly, except that this is now part of Docker as well. So if you're using Docker to build your images, you can just as well scan them, and you can do that even every few minutes if you want to. Now, let's see how I found that there are 5 vulnerabilities, some of them medium, so at least those medium ones should be fixed, if not all. So let's see how we can do that. And as I said before, Snyk already suggested that I might want to upgrade Nginx, which is a base image of my image. So let's try to do that. So I'm going to change Docker file. I'm going to here, I'm using the latest stable Alpine as the base image, but that stable Alpine, God knows when was the last time I actually built with it, so it might be old. And I shouldn't be using latest anyway. So I'm going to change this to Nginx, and I just checked that this is the latest version, Nginx 1.9. What was it? 4. Actually 19.4, and Alpine. So I changed the base image to be the latest Alpine instead of whatever was the one that was used when I built that specific image. So I'm going to save this. I'm just following recommendation from Snyk, because as you can see, the rest of application is mostly static code. There is not really much going on here. It's just HTML. If there are vulnerabilities, they are in the base image, as Snyk suggested. So I'm going to build a new container image based on the modified definition of my Docker file that now uses the latest tag of Alpine Nginx. So the command is docker image build. This is what you're already doing. The tag is vparsec DevOps toolkit series, and the tag, new tag should be 2.9, let's say 99, and the path to the context. Now I'm just building an image, nothing really special is happening here. I built it already, so that's fine. Now what I want to do is scan that newly built image again, and that's docker scan vparsec DevOps toolkit series 2.9.99, and the file is Docker file, and I'm going to accept license. So let's see whether I improved, or whether my image is now more secure than it was. And yes, this time it found only one issue. I mean, it's still not fully risk-free, but hey, from 5 to 1. And if I scroll up, that one is low severity, so I will let it slide. I might spend some time figuring out how to fix that one as well. Actually, it is fixed in a new version of Alpine What's-not, but I'm going to skip that. Let's say that I'm satisfied now. I fixed, what was it, like 80% of the issues, and all of those that are medium severity. So I just fixed my problem, right? And following the recommendation from Snyk is not always going to be that easy. And Snyk is not the only tool that does this. But what is awesome is because it is integrated in my flow, as in this case, in this context, with the hat of a developer, I could just continue building local images and scanning them and what's or not. And then when I'm ready, I create a pull request, and then we use some different things from Snyk, which I might not go right now. Now, actually, yeah, let me show you a few more things. Let's open Snyk.io app, and that is app.snyk.io, and show you a few things. Let's increase this. Let me put back in. Okay, so this is the application Snyk dashboard that I can use. I started fresh for this demo. I have a different account for real production. So this is a fresh one. I can go to projects. And here are the projects I have. Now I have none of the projects, so let's add a few things related to this. I already, this is a project that is in a Git repository, so let's add Git repository of that same application here and see what we're gonna get. And the repository is DevOps Toolkit. Let's find it. Where is it? DevOps Toolkit, this one. I'm going to add this repository to Snyk. And we're going to see what we're gonna get in a second. And while Snyk is working, let me add also to Docker Hub, where images of this repository are stored. The same image that I showed you before. And now I have all the images that I own in Docker Hub in this case. I'm going to look for vparsec DevOps Toolkit series. Let's see what we're gonna get. And now it will be added as well. Soon it will be scanned. Now let's go back to the first one. This is the repository. Let me increase this. This is the repository that I added a few moments ago. And it already went there, and it made a few suggestions. It evaluated Dockerfile and found one low vulnerability. That's already because in the master branch, I already fixed the thing that I just showed you that I fixed. So there is one vulnerability that can be fixed from Dockerfile. We can go there and see what it is. And here you go. This is the information about that vulnerability. If I go back to that project again, I can see that it actually found a few other interesting things. It found that there is a deployment YAML with some potential issues in a Helm chart I have for this project, and there is deployment YAML in k8s directory, which is pure Kubernetes. Anyway, if I go here, I can see that actually there are a few issues I might want to fix, 5 to be precise. Container could be running an outdated image. Yes, I might want to change image pool policy. Container is running with default set of capabilities. Container is running with writable root file system, and so on and so forth. So it went to my repository, evaluated it, and figured out this is a small repo, so not much was found, but it found all the potential issues I might have, at least from security perspective and good practices perspective. Similarly, if I go back to project, you can see here that my container, my Docker Hub registry already was scanned with the latest image. I could have went there actually and said, let's do this. Docker Hub, I don't want to scan one image. Why would I want to scan one image? Nobody wants that. Where was the DevOps Toolkit series? This one. I'm going to select actually all the images. Let it scan all the images I created for this registry. I'd selected projects. It will go to projects, and now it will take a minute or two, a few moments until it is scanned. I'm going to fast forward to the end of this process. It should be more than a minute. Okay, so it is still scanning after half a minute or something like that, but I can see that 26 images were already scanned, and I can see how many high, medium, low vulnerabilities I have. Actually, if you notice by the tags, you can see that I had quite a lot of vulnerabilities in the past, but as I continued progressing, actually, that number lowered when I started coming to 2.9 point something, that is my current image. Anyways, it is still scanning the remaining images that will finish soon, but I have them all now scanned, and all new images that I will push will scan. I can get notifications about potential issues and so on and so forth. And there are many other things. If I go to integrations, I can integrate it with GitHub, as I already did, other Git providers, different container registries, This is one that is really good, which is only for enterprise customers though, but it can evaluate and continue evaluating your Kubernetes cluster at runtime. So not only that at the time you create new features, make changes to Git and what's not, but also at runtime, which is awesome. Integrates with different CI/CD solutions, IDEs. The one I really like is for VS Code. It can tell you what's going on while it's going on, while you're coding, which is absolutely awesome, and so on and so forth. So it really integrates with almost everything that is worthwhile integrating today. So that was a quick overview of Snyk in 20 minutes or less. I think it was less, so I'm good on time. What do I think about it? It might be the most comprehensive security tool when scanning is related. Now, it's not the only one, but what really makes it awesome is that it satisfies the needs of security teams who want to define the rules and enforce certain things, but also developers. It shifts to the left. It provides tools so that everybody feels comfortable using it, no matter the level of security expertise. So it's not that much what it does. It scans stuff like binaries, container images, infrastructure deployment, definitions. It's also working at runtime. It integrates with GitHub, with GitLab, with this and that, with all the different tools, and all that in a way that it is, first of all, fast feedback, extremely fast feedback. We will, for most of the cases, we will find out that there is something wrong the moment we write that something as code as code. So it is everywhere, it shifts left, and it makes it easy for everyone to use. That's the key part. That's the key missing ingredient in security tools in general. It's not the only one, but it's the one I like the most today, at least. So developer friendly, cloud first, maybe security solution. That would be the tagline. So if somebody asks you what is Snyk, it is developer friendly, cloud first, security solution. And one of the awesome things coming very soon, I think, at least according to the documentation, is code security. So we'll get real-time verifications based on the changes we are making to code at real time while we are writing it. And that's potentially going to be a game changer. That's it. That's Snyk in 20 minutes or less. Huge recommendation. Absolutely huge recommendation. My favorite tool for security scanning of any type sorts. Check them out. It's free. Some features are not free. You might need to pay. Everything ends up being not free at one moment. Check it out and let me know what you think. Let me know whether you're using it, and if you do, what is your experience with it, and if not, try it out right away. Oh, I almost forgot one more important thing before I forget. Subscribe to the channel right away. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Hit the thumbs up if you like this video, and if you want to support this channel in any form of way, please consider getting one of the books or courses. And the link is below in the comment section and appearing here on the screen as well. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Cheers.